Hey guys, welcome to a brand new episode of Smile with Prachi. This is Prachi. Now, before we move ahead, in case you feel that there's something different happening in today's video, well, that's because, guys, there's a lot of work going on in my house, and this was literally the only place left for me to sit in. Now, before we start with today's writers and today's letters, here's a very interesting topic I have for you all. This is a topic that is seldom discussed, but honestly, it impacts the life of almost every single individual out there. To some people, it can impact their lives immensely. For others, maybe not so much, but it is a contributing factor to your psychological makeup. The topic being favoritism by parents among siblings. Have you ever felt that your parents favor one of you, whether you or your sibling favor one of you over the other? Now, when you ask this question to a parent, chances are the parents would say, no, 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 I don't have a favorite child. I love all my children equally. Obviously, because there is a feeling of guilt there, right? As a responsible parent, you don't choose over your one child over the other. You don't want to accept that you love one more than the other. It just feels like the wrong thing to do, and that is completely understandable, to be very honest. No responsible parent would ever want to accept something like this, but that doesn't mean it doesn't happen. In fact, it might surprise some of you to hear this, that research says that most parents, not all, but most parents do have a favorite child. So I really want to take this opportunity and ask you guys this question. Have you ever felt that your parents favor you over the others? Or have you ever felt that you are the least favorite child? If yes, how has that impacted you? Does it ever make you feel less loved or less lovable? Has that impacted you in any major ways? Share your stories in the comment section, guys. I would love to know, and especially because the viewers, the audience for Smile with Prachi belong to all age groups, I really would want to see how it impacts life and mindsets at different ages. Whatever you're comfortable sharing, please do share. Okay, and moving on, I also want to share one thing from my side, that if you have ever felt that you are the least favorite child of your parents, chances are that you have grown up feeling less valuable, less important, feeling that your feelings don't matter. I want to tell you that it's not about you. If your parents love your sibling more than they love you, it's not about you. It really isn't. Since we are talking about research, and because I like to, read psychology papers and really refer to them when I'm making these videos, I just want to share a few really important facts with you all here. Okay? It might help some of you heal a little bit. It has been seen that parents generally tend to favor a child more because of where they are coming from. It could be something as simple as gender. Okay, for a lot of parents, a girl child is more favorable because, oh, she's a girl. For some parents, a girl child is less favorable because she's a girl, she's come with all this liability. In the Indian culture, that's how girls are often seen. I'm not saying that's my thought, I'm just saying that's how a lot of parents think. Right? It could be something as simple as gender. It's obviously not your fault. It could be simply that they favor the younger sibling more because, the younger will always be the baby. Alternatively, they could favor the older sibling more, thinking, oh, this was my firstborn. None of this really follows any logic. So it really isn't about you. Sometimes it can be a little bit more complicated than that. They may favor one child over the other because the other child reminds them of their personality flaws or what they perceive as flaws, right? Or they may perceive one child as a very close, very close personality of their own fathers or of their own mothers who they don't get along with very well. So it can be very simple to very complicated, but it's still not about you. And I hope that this little bit helps you heal a little bit today. Now, moving on, we're going to start with the first writer of the day. What is my laptop doing, guys? Just a second, okay? Okay. So starting with the first writer of the day, who we're going to call Doctor, because the first writer is actually a doctor. So we're just going to call the first writer Doctor, okay? So, Doctor says, hey Prachi, hope you are in the pink of health. My letter will be a bit long and I'm really hoping you won't mind. So I'm a 29-year-old guy living in a single city working as a doctor. My native is a small town where my parents live with my sister. A little background here. My sister was always the apple of the eye for our parents. Everyone knows that being younger, fair-skinned and beautiful, she was their favorite child. They have given her a lot of love, and quite honestly, I feel that it has spoiled her a bit. My parents tell me that it's my responsibility to take care of her as I am her older brother, but I am failing miserably at it. Now, this sister who's 23 moved in with me last January. She claimed that she wants to move for her job, but she left that job in less than a month of coming here. Ever since then, she has been doing absolutely nothing. She didn't want to study, didn't want to work anymore. While I paid for all that extra rent, electricity, food, even cooking and cleaning for both of us as she continued to stay at my place. All I saw her do was gossip on the phone, party, travel. Her friends would come over, empty my bar, and I eventually figured out that one of them was even her boyfriend since he often stayed over at night in her room. This was all getting onto my nerves already when she ended up getting pregnant. I found out when she was 6 weeks into the pregnancy by overhearing her breakup fight with this boyfriend. Being a doctor, I decided to step in and suggested instant abortion, to which she refused. She told me that it's none of my business and that if she undergoes the abortion, she will never be able to get this guy back in her life. Let me also add here that her boyfriend seemed to be threatening her and stuff to get this abortion. I tried in every possible way to explain why keeping the baby was a bad idea, why she needs to move on from this dangerous relationship. But she just wouldn't listen. When everything else failed, I decided to kick her out of my house, giving her a flight ticket back to her native town and said that I was done with her nonsense. I told her parents everything once she reached home so that they could handle the pregnancy problem. As expected, my parents were furious. More at me than with her though. It has been it's been 4 months since this whole incident happened, and they still refuse to talk to me properly. I went to my native town last week, and my dad literally used the word disappointed for how I handled the whole thing. They believe that I should have kept a closer watch on her, so guys couldn't take advantage of her. And that as a doctor, I should have helped her with the abortion instead of kicking her out like that. I agree I could have been more attentive, but due to the COVID rush, I hardly was getting time to eat and sleep, let alone keep a watch on my sister. She still wants to come back and live with me, but I just don't think I can handle that stress again. When I told her that I'm not ready for this, she called me selfish and my mom didn't speak to me a whole week during that trip. The whole week, not a single word from my own mother. I'm in a mess, so frustrated. I have started drinking every night to deal with my depression. All I wanted was for them to be happy and proud of me, but I feel like nothing but a failure of a brother. I feel so alone and left out. Sometimes I think, can they all be wrong? Or do I really lack common sense? Prachi, please give me some reassurances if I'm right, or tell me where I'm wrong. Should I get her back? Give her another chance? What should I do? Doctor, you know what you should do? You should stop trying to get your parents' validation, their approval. It's high time. You're 29, you are living independently, you are a doctor, which is one of the hardest professions to be in. You have already achieved so much. Do you really think your parents are going to change if they haven't changed yet? Now let me go back a little bit. I've already talked a little bit about this in the beginning of the video today, right? But let me talk a little bit more about this because I think you need to hear it. See, it's very understandable why, as an individual, you want your parents' validation. Your parents are the ones who bring you into this world. For the first few years of your life, everything that you do is decided by your parents. The first few years of your life is also when you psychologically learn how to perceive your own self, your own place in the world, and how you perceive the world around you. The first few years of your life is very important part of your psychological makeup. Okay, the first few years. And it is mostly shaped by your parents. So when there is a flaw there, you could be spending your entire life fighting that flaw. And it can be a very confusing place for you. But for your own sake, you need to learn to let go. Is it going to be easy? Of course not. But you need to learn to let go. This whole drinking and getting into depression and, doubting yourself, second guessing yourself is not healthy. Your parents say that you are responsible for your sister. Well, let me break it to you, you are not. She's an adult, you are an adult, you both can carry on with your lives without being responsible for each other. Yes, it's a good thing to take care of your family. I have a brother. I love him to death. And yes, I do feel responsible for him sometimes. But he is not my responsibility. He is nobody's responsibility. He is an adult now. Right? And if at all, it's your parents who have brought your sister into this world. So if at all, she will still be their responsibility, but definitely not yours. What it seems like, what your parent is doing, what your parents are doing, it appears to me that they have raised a brat and now they expect you to take care of her. Of course, they are going to be more angry with you than with her. She's the golden child, you're the scapegoat. A lot of families have a scapegoat. That one member who is blamed for everything that goes wrong. In your family, you are that person. Now, how to deal with this? Well, it's very easy to say that move on, forget about it, but it's not that easy, right? It's far more complicated than that. So, if you want, you can go for therapy. I think it will really help you heal on a personal level. And to deal with this particular situation, I think you need to put your foot down and say an absolute no. Say, I'm not going to take care of my sister until unless she learns that she has made a mistake. She has to take responsibility for her actions. Tell her that until and unless I hear you apologize, and I want a proper apology where you tell me what you did wrong. I don't want a fake apology. Until unless I am sure that you have realized your mistake, this conversation is not even happening. When your parents come and put the blame on you, say, I'm not listening to any of this. I know what I have done right, and if you can't see it, it's not my fault. Your mother, she's not talking to you, you don't have to talk to her either. How long can this game go on? Somebody has to break the silence someday, right? Let her be the one. And she will be the one only on the day when she realizes that you're not craving for her approval. You go on with your life as hard as it may be. And as for whether you should let your sister in back into your house, quite honestly, I don't think it's a good idea at this point at all. And if you do let her back into your house to live with you, tell her to first find a job. Set the ground rules that, no drinking from my bar. If you're going to go out with your friends, I don't want, I don't want all this nonsense to happen. I want you to be, if you're going to be sexually active, you have to be responsible. You cannot come back pregnant and, behave like this. No, these are the ground rules. I need you to behave like a responsible adult. I am not going to intervene in your personal life, but you have to behave like a responsible adult. Now, moving on to the next writer of the day. This is also, by the way, about siblings and parenting a little bit. So just letting you know, guys. We are going to call the next writer of the day. Let's call her Model. Okay. I'm assuming you're very, very beautiful. So I'm going to call you Model. The first writer of the day was Doctor. The second one is Model. Model says, Hi Prachi. I have been with my boyfriend for the last 4 years and we are to get married this year. It's an intercaste love marriage and quite honestly a very big deal for the family. It has taken us 3 years to convince our parents. My older sister is still in shock and has decided to not attend our wedding at all. She finds it demeaning that I'm marrying a boy of a much lower caste and has said this to my face. She is angry that I've ruined her reputation in front of her in-laws. I'm so broken, Prachi. I've always been so close to my sister. She's my everything. How can I get married with her being so upset? A lot of my cousins who have somehow agreed to come are also shaming me for this. All I wanted was a simple wedding where all the people who matter come to bless us. Is that so much to ask for? Please tell me if there's anything I can do to convince them. Relationships matter a lot to me. Model, I think you're looking at this whole problem from a totally different perspective, which is not very healthy for you right now. You are about to get married, right? Very soon you will be married. And take this from one married woman, myself, who has been married for 5 years. In a marriage, you always stand by your spouse. Never let anyone, even your family, anyone, even your best friends, speak badly about your husband to you. Anyone who thinks they can take the liberty to insult your husband on their face or maybe behind their back is not your friend. You need to set them straight right then and there. See, I'll give you a very simple example. You'll be able to understand this a little better then. When you get married, okay, and somebody that your husband cares for says bad things about you, would you like it? Wouldn't you want your husband to take your side? You would, right? So I'm sorry to know that this is how your sister is behaving. This is once again a very entitled sort of a behavior where she's thinking about herself and making it all about herself when it's your marriage. She should have actually stood up for you. And I think in the current generation, with your cousins and everyone also behaving like this, it's very, very sad. I mean, caste really doesn't matter, guys. It really doesn't. Why are we still fighting about caste, religion? Oh my god. But remember, if relationships are important, you need to prioritize your relationships sometimes. That's one of the hard things about being an adult. And your husband, your spouse should absolutely 1000% always be your priority. Even if he does something wrong, even if he does something absolutely wrong, in front of the world, you will support him. Of course, later on, you need to have a conversation with him. You need to tell him that what you did was not right. But in front of the whole world, you will still not disrespect your husband. Don't do that. And for all the guys who are watching this, I would say the same rules apply to you and your wife as well. You do not disrespect your wife either. This applies to both the genders. You always have to stand by your spouse. Okay, this is very, very important. Keep that in mind. And for the cousins who you said have agreed to come for the wedding unwillingly, let them know that this behavior is not accepted. And if they come to the wedding, they need to respect your husband. You can say it in a nicer way, of course, not in the same way that I'm telling you this right now, but you do need to let them know that if they're going to come to your wedding, they need to respect your husband, number one, and be very stern about it. If that means that they don't come to your wedding at all, that's fine. Okay, trust me, it's fine. It's not worth the trouble. It's not worth getting your husband insulted for. And same with your sister. Let her know that you would like her to be there at the wedding, but this is the guy that you're getting married to, and he is going to be a part of the family whether she likes it or not. Okay, and that you hope that people will be able to respect him because he's a good guy. You can also let her know that you feel very hurt when people say these things because you take pride in who he is as a person. Okay. So, guys, that's what I wanted to share with my two writers of the day. Very interestingly, the second story that I shared today is something that I've seen in my family as well. Happened to one of my relatives. I've actually attended one of these weddings, and I was shocked that these things can actually still happen. In that wedding, we were the lower caste, and the other side of the family was the much higher class. So they wouldn't talk to us, they wouldn't be around us, and like that was the first time I experienced it because we don't belong to the scheduled caste, so we have had it a lot easier. But then that got me thinking that people who do belong to the scheduled caste in our country, they really do get treated badly by a lot of people even today. And isn't that just sad? You feel the intensity and the pain of it when you're on the receiving end of it. And we were on the receiving end of it at that wedding. So yeah, I really hope people can find better things to protest about, like global warming and animal cruelty and women's rights, instead of fighting about these stupid, petty things that make no sense at all, seriously. Anyways, that's all for the day. Guys, if you have any stories to share, if you have anything to share with the two writers of the day, please share them with them. Share them with them in the comment section below. I'm sure they would appreciate your gesture and your help. And yes, I'll see you guys again next week. Thank you for watching. Have a great weekend, everybody. Take care. Stay safe. This is me, Prachi, signing off now. Bye-bye.